Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. Now, I wanted to talk to you about something that I already know is going to get me in trouble. I already know that talking about other prominent people makes some black people really upset. They almost feel that if you give any sort of objective analysis that they like to use terms like hater, which is really interesting because I think we have to be really careful about that, about sort of believing that anybody's above and beyond any criticism, including me. I mean, if you have something critical to say about me, you should say it. Just make sure you back up your criticism with facts, some sort of thinking, something that that has substance to it, as opposed to just emotion. Just oh, you just a hater. Well, I mean, if you're responding with just anger, then that means that you really don't have anything to kind of stand on other than your emotion, which means that maybe you're mad because you were wrong or whatever. Anyway, I say all this just to prepare for the fact that I already know there are certain people who are sort of viewed in a heroic status in the black community, and it's very risky to kind of critique anything that they do. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about this, not so much in a critical standpoint, but really from a more objective, just kind of let's just look at the facts kind of standpoint. Let's just really lay it all out there on the table and talk about facts. If you get to a point where facts and information become your enemy, then number one, you probably don't really belong kind of in this space. My space is really for people that want to expand their thinking and grow and stuff like that. So a lot of people aren't really going to get a lot of the things that I talk about. But then also, you have to be very careful because you never want to just believe something somebody says just because they said it. You never want to be in an environment where any critical analysis is not allowed. If you look, for example, at America at large, any president who goes into the White House knows that they're not going to just be able to do their job without being challenged by the media, saying, okay, President Nixon, you said that you did this, but we have evidence that you broke into the hotel in Watergate and you did this, and this. And so there's always this critical sort of challenge that should take place when you're talking about any kind of leadership. We don't live in a dictatorship. We should live in a free-thinking society. So with that being said, let me go into this topic real quick. I saw this interesting little segment with Steve Harvey, Patti LaBelle, and James Wright, the brother who was who got famous by basically dancing and singing over Patty's Pies and stuff like that. And I thought that was really interesting. I mean, Walmart Patty's Pies made a killing. I don't care what they say; they weren't selling pies before James Wright started singing about it. I do find it disturbing that a black man is more likely to be famous or successful if he's kind of cooning a little bit, as opposed to being intelligent. That coonery sells because that's the role that they've designated for you. If your goal is to be the court jester, then white people will always have a paycheck waiting for you. They will always have a salary, an opportunity waiting for you. If you try to be a man of intelligence and dignity, chances are you're going to be seen as a threat. And so, just so you know, I just want to warn anybody out here who's determined to be an intelligent black person. It ain't always going to work out in your favor. But at the same time, if you love yourself enough, you don't need all of that validation in order to feel good about yourself and what you're doing in the world. So he did the Patty's Pies thing. Patty's Pies blew up. They started selling like crazy. So now this kind of become a profession for him. I mean, corporations are going to line up and say, hey, will you sing for sing for my product? So the next thing in line was Steve Harvey's bacon. So I saw him on the Steve Harvey show singing over the bacon and kind of, doing the coonery and the comedy and stuff like that. And people like that, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But here's the interesting thing. According to most studies that you look at, the Center for Disease Control, everything else, black people tend to lead in every category imaginable when it comes to death and humiliation and trauma and all kinds of other uncomfortable circumstances that result from the food that we eat. And I'm not putting myself out of this category. I'm not. I grew up drinking Kool-Aid with a whole lot of sugar in it. I grew up loving the soul food. I grew up wanting to go to McDonald's before I wanted to eat anything healthy. And I'm still in that category. It's not uncommon that you might see me eating something that I shouldn't be eating. I talk about Steve Harvey's bacon because I probably would really like it because I like bacon. But that doesn't mean that we should remain silent about this. If you were to count the number of black people murdered by cops every year and the number of black people murdered by corporate food every year, there would be no comparison. This food really does kill us, right? And so the philosophical issue that comes up is whether or not it makes sense to really speak on this, or if silence is the best answer. I mean, if you think that being silent about the thing that's killing us the most makes sense, then I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I'm not the person for you, because I don't think silence is really the answer. And so what we end up seeing is you'll see people in church praying to Jesus saying, why, Lord, why did Big Mama get diabetes? Why did she get a foot cut off? Why did my daddy just have a stroke? Why is so-and-so getting their third heart surgery? But then we cheer when Steve Harvey is selling bacon, sugar-coated bacon to black people. Once again, I say this as a person who willfully admits that if you put some sugar-coated bacon in front of me, I would probably want to eat it. That's because, like many Americans, I probably have an addiction to sugar like a lot of you do. Sugar is an addictive substance. Let me tell you this. They did a study where they had a bunch of rats, and they addicted the rats to cocaine. And then with these cocaine-addicted rats, they gave them a choice between cocaine and sugar. And do you know that 94% of the rats chose the sugar over the cocaine? So sugar is a hell of a drug. Cocaine is bad. Cocaine is one of the worst drugs you ever want to be addicted to. But sugar is stronger than cocaine. And many of us get our children addicted to sugar before they can even walk, before they even have a choice. And what you don't understand, I encourage you to watch this documentary I saw. The documentary is called F'd Up, or it's spelled Fed Up, and it's on Netflix. Watch this documentary if you really want to see the corporate conspiracy that exists in America that keeps Americans addicted to sugar. Every time a government official has tried to step up and reduce the recommended daily allowance of sugar intake for Americans or for people around the world, corporations have stepped in and blocked it. So they're trying to kill you. They're trying to kill everybody in America, but black people are the easiest to kill because there's also another type of study that says that, and this is mentioned in the film Fed Up, which I encourage you to watch. Don't listen to me if you have an issue with what I'm saying and you care about facts. Don't listen to me. Please go watch the documentary. Listen to the scientists, because I'm not a health expert. I'm not even a guy who eats healthy all the time. So I don't even know how much credibility I really have. I'm really like that guy who smokes cigarettes, who says to his son, don't you do this when you grow up. That's really me. So if you're going to criticize, if anybody is offended that I'm criticizing Steve Harvey for selling sugar-coated bacon, criticize me too. Criticize me for being hypocritical, if you want to call that, because I don't eat the way I should. I'm trying to, but it's difficult. It's very difficult. So I come to you from as much of a place of honesty as I possibly can. Check out that documentary Fed Up. The other thing that I think gets us in trouble is that in the black community, we kind of have this money over everything kind of mentality. The MOE mentality. Now, mind you, I'm a finance professor. I know all about money. I teach about the power of money. But the other thing I know about the power of money is that money is addictive. Money is addictive in the sense that it's also a cleanser of sins. What it does is it makes us look at a person with money and stature, and we forget to even think for 1 second about how that person obtained that stature. It's for the same reasons that we could end up idolizing the neighborhood drug dealer, even if we have relatives who've died from ingesting the drugs that the dealer was selling on the block. Because the dealer goes out, maybe gives a couple turkeys away at Thanksgiving. Maybe he sponsors a basketball tournament, and we see that person as a hero, even though they've been the purveyors of tremendous amounts of death and destruction right in your backyard. You overlook that because he gave you a free turkey at Christmas. That's what we tend to do with black celebrities. We look at the money, but we don't look at the motivation. We don't look at the method. And I think that's a deeply, deeply flawed way of analyzing the world. It's not healthy. That's for sure. So I think that the final premise here, the final thought I'm going to share with you, and I'll leave you with this, is, there are people who say, look, don't blame Steve Harvey for selling sugar-coated bacon. It's not his fault Big Mama got diabetes and cancer and whatever, and heart disease and all that stuff, and she's unhealthy. She chose to eat the bacon. Okay? I'm not going to argue with that, actually, because I actually am a big believer in personal responsibility. I am a big believer that you make the majority of the decisions when it comes to what happens in your life. That's why I'm not a liberal, because liberals let go of personal responsibility. They want to blame everything on the system. I don't blame everything on the system. But at the same time, common sense says that systematic influences have a direct impact on the choices that we make. Study after study after study, thousands of studies have shown that the products corporations market to you influence buying behavior. That if I change the marketing for Nike next year, I can literally change the actions of millions and millions of people. So we cannot pretend that these influences from the celebrities we admire the most don't play a part in the choices that people make. There's a reason Walmart pays Steve Harvey millions of dollars to market bacon on a TV show, because they know that he will get black people to buy sugar-coated bacon. The other thing about this study that's interesting is, this whole scenario is that there are studies that show that corporations work hardest to market. Again, it's in the documentary Effed Up. They market their most unhealthy products to black and brown people because in those communities, we tend to have the lowest types of education and literacy when it comes to what we eat and how we spend. We have the lowest amount of financial literacy. That's why I push so hard to push black financial literacy, because it's so low. That's how people end up creating jobs on our backs, but not giving us those jobs. And we also have a very low amount of understanding when it comes to the difference between healthy and unhealthy food. You can't. There's things that you can sell to black people that you really can't sell to certain kinds of people in other communities. It doesn't mean white people don't also eat sugar-coated bacon. There's ignorant white people too. But if you're looking at demographics, there's a reason they had Steve Harvey selling sugar-coated bacon and not selling, some sort of health food. There's a reason he's not selling health food, because they know you won't eat the health food, but you'll eat the sugar-coated bacon because Steve Harvey told you to, right? So that's it. So the fundamental question that we have to ask ourselves, for those who might say that, look, don't blame Steve, don't say nothing to Steve about it, let that man get his money, Boyce, you just hating, da-da-da. I'm not really listening to that type of stuff, because if all you can say is, Boyce, you just hating, then that means you really don't have a critical argument. You really haven't thought this through. I want you to think it through. So at the end, if you want to say, Boyce, you're a piece of shit, and hear the reasons why, give me logic. Show me you got a brain. Please use your brain. Don't just be simple-minded in terms of how you come at me. I don't care if you come at me. Just come at me like you got some damn sense. But the question that we have to ask ourselves is, if you have a drug dealer in the neighborhood who's selling crack to the kids and to the adults in the neighborhood, do you blame? At what point, at what level does the drug dealer have a responsibility? Do you say, well, no, I mean, if people don't want to suffer the effects of being addicted to drugs, they shouldn't buy the crack from the crack dealer. So that means at the end of the day, you don't put drug dealers in prison. You say, hey, it's not the drug dealer's fault. If the people wouldn't buy the drugs, there would be no market, right? But understand this, that if you look at the way the food is killing people, it's killing people more than cops, it's killing people more than black-on-black crime, it's killing people more than drugs, and all these other things out here, right? The food is right there with what the pharmaceutical companies are doing to us. So I guess at the end of the day, we have to kind of say, does the dealer have any accountability on this? Does the drug dealer have any accountability? Because people who are peddling unhealthy food that's killing us, causing diabetes, heart disease, all these other things, they are the modern day drug dealers. So if you don't think drug dealers should go to prison, then there's nothing else to talk about. But if you do think they have some accountability, you have to think about how much. If I'm using my influence to convince you and thousands of other people to do something that's very bad for them, Do I have any role in the outcome, or can I just remove myself from a responsibility? That's a philosophical question, really. I'm not even going to answer that for you because, well, I think you kind of know what I think, but it's okay for you to think something different. Tell me what you think. Just give me some logic. Don't come in there with that whole Boyce, you just hating on Steve Harvey stuff. I don't respond to arguments like that. Doesn't even make any sense to me. That's juvenile. We're not a juvenile people. We're an intelligent people. Be intelligent. Use your head and think through everything. Because if you don't know how to think for yourself, other people are going to tell you what to think. That's it. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. Please take care. God bless. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.